I mean, I can give you the whole tech stack, but knowing how to put the strategy behind it, to put it together to make sense for you as a company, that's where most people don't know how to plug and play. Like if you look at one of the studies that was out by MIT saying 95% of AI has failed at companies, well, that's because they're not using it right. It's all about context and prompt engineering, putting you in the right, like you could create an MCP server with your company's documents.
What does the future of business development look like? And where does AI fit into that whole question that I think everybody in business asks these days? I had Dom, the founder and operator of Lazio Search Group, walk through the last 2.5 years he spent leveraging AI tools and discussing a little bit more of the success he's had working with major corporations to implement a true go-to-market strategy and RevOps leveraging AI. I think you're going to enjoy the conversation that was had as he's built quite an impressive catalog of clients and successes. Hey, Dom, thanks so much for joining me today. So I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Is cold calling dead?
I wouldn't say it's dead, but there's a lot of ways to do better business development. My experience is warm intros. Nothing is better than that. If you have a trusted network and partners, that can say, hey, Matt, let me introduce you to Dominic. Hey, Dominic, let me introduce you to Matt. Nothing better than that.
Okay, I think I would agree with that as far as like to call it relationship selling. You think about when you're well known in the marketplace, everyone's going to go to you for a point of reference. I guess from your standpoint, what makes you different than anyone else from a network standpoint? Let's say you do commercial insurance. Everyone has a commercial insurance guy. Why would someone reference you as a commercial insurance individual versus somebody else from a network standpoint?
Everything I do in networking is like, do you know the person well? Do you trust them? Do you like working with them? Can you see yourself referring them to other people, like your family and friends? That's how, I look at a good referral partner. But, somebody that also is always sharing, just they're not always in it for take. Just here's the value I provide. You know what they do it very well, and they really truly value the partnership. That stands out to me, at least when I'm looking for good partners.
Yeah, I think that's 100% accurate, because I always say it's like, hey, I want every relationship to be duplicatively valuable. So, hey, you bring me in on something, how can I help you as well? Because you hate those takers in a networking relationship. Everyone can identify them pretty quickly in the marketplace.
Really cool.
So walk me through how some of the successes you've had. I know you've gotten to know a lot of established professionals. With looking at networking and things like that, I know you're super active on LinkedIn, posting a lot of activities, and you're in a ton of groups. What are some tips that you have that have helped you achieve that success?
Again, going back to providing value, I am fortunate enough to interview a lot of top enterprise sales reps, and it just goes back to providing value. For example, we have that automotive logistics conference here in Detroit right now. So they have an app. You can go on there and see all the speakers and all the attendees. So what I did is I went in there and scraped everybody out. And then I went on everyone's LinkedIn and sent them a message saying, hey, so you can focus on relationships, which is the most important part of these events. It's not our ticket. Here's a list that I can provide value for you. And at the bottom of it, I said, hey, if you need help enriching it, the contact information, or you want to help with multi-channel outreach, I'm here to help. And I booked immediately the first day I sent it 4 meetings from that. But now I have people just messaging me, thank you so much for sending me this list. It helps. It's funny because it's a shared doc. You can see people going on there and putting X next to the names that they probably reached out to already. It's just going above and beyond. How do you provide value? You're not asking for anything in return. Here, let me do it because I can do it quickly and fast, and it doesn't take much time for me, but let me go out of my way to help you.
I think that's super important. I think in the day and age now, cold call heavy, hey, sell. And every individual, if you're an executive, instantly you get a cold call. You just think, what's this guy trying to sell me? And I stress with so many people that are younger in their career, don't sell, lead with value, just offer something that nobody else is going to bring to the table. I think that's incredibly important, hyper relevant to the point, and it speaks their language. So something I wanted to dig in a little bit further too is, what are you doing with AI right now? I think that's something that is super relevant. And I think you're having a lot of success walking through various executives that are loving what you're doing.
So we're doing a lot with AI. For example, one of the CFOs I work with right now needed a P&L statement reviews, right? So I'll go on there and I'll set up his chat GPT with instructions, and I can show you some stuff that I'm doing. For me, this is my virtual recruiting assistant. I'll throw somebody's LinkedIn profile in there. It will extract the metadata. It will tag them. For my niche is supply chain logistics, supply chain tech. It will basically extract the metadata from their profile just by their LinkedIn URL, tag it for me, and then I can put it into my ATS or my CRM. ATS is applicant tracking system, and then set up a weekly cadence touch points with them, or monthly, bi-weekly, whatever it may be. And then tags it for me in the industry vertical, niche, seniority level, type of role, geography. So we'll do stuff like that. So not only are we doing that for them, but we'll go set up their rev ops, go to market, outbound strategy. We'll use tools like this, Clay. So for example, one of the executives I work with, he wanted the top 20 automotive tier one and OEMs in Metro Detroit that have facilities here. So one of their companies can sell the racking system. So what I did here is scraped everybody out for him, top 20 tier ones. And then what we'll do is he was asking for certain titles of each person, right? So we'll take in our open API, analyze their profile with a prompt. If they fit what we're looking for, then we'll launch a campaign, as you can see right here. We can do an outbound campaign right from here, set them up on LinkedIn with a tool like Tripify. So on here is where we go for LinkedIn outbound. This one, for example, I was going to a conference, supply chain manifest conference in Vegas, huge supply chain conference. What I did before I went, so I made sure I didn't waste any time while I was at the event, I scraped all 259 speakers, and then I put them onto a sequence here. If you can see my screen, can you see that?
Yep.
So on LinkedIn, this is all running automated for me all day. And out of the 259 that I reached out to, 45.1% accepted, 107. Out of the 92 that responded, here's the key. I looked at each one of the 92 and I said, all right, who is really relevant for me to meet with right now at this event? And I booked that down to 25. So while I was in Vegas, I had meetings just back to back to back, and I didn't waste any in the 3 days I was out there, and still had time to go to the happy hours and, the good events where you want to go to after. Now, on the other side of AI, where we're doing is once you have a system and process dialed in, you know what the output is that you expect to get, then you can go into N8N and create a automated workflow. So here's an example. I'll just show this, but if you want sales, you can bring in your any API that you have, ChatGPT, Open API, Claude, Gemini, Gronk, Manus. You can see them all up here at the top. Um, so there's a lot of different ways we're using it internally for recruiting. We will take, for example, let's say we're looking for a senior full stack software engineer in Denver, Colorado. And that's not a role that I typically do, but we can take it on. The CEO trusts me. We'll scrape all 25,000 candidates in Denver, Colorado that fit that profile. Well, our API for ChatGPT will analyze their profile, look for certain data points. If they have what we're looking for based on the job description and call transcript with the hiring manager, in this case, the CTO, then it will send them a message to book a Calendly link, my Calendly link, senior full stack software engineer. So I'll know if they got on my calendar for the senior full stack software engineer, I know they checked off all the data points that we were looking for. Now, if let's say they were somebody that's heads down, never had to look for a job and just maybe never changed their LinkedIn, our API and our prompt will know to not automatically disqualify the candidate, but dig deeper and then ask them questions. And actually, one of the candidates that we recently got an offer for, $250,000 equity, that was the case, right? He didn't have his LinkedIn profile updated. We dug deeper into it. The AI did automatically send him a message, asked him a few follow-up questions. Then we booked a call, and I still got to talk to him, being the human in the loop, touch point, right? Make sure that he fits the culture and is willing to go into a startup environment again. So that's a few ways that we're using it right now. A lot for logistics outbound, go to market, rev ops is what they're calling it, with, basically taking in multiple data sources, enriching that data, taking in data points. Let's say CBRE is doing a decommissioning project. Well, we pull in all those APIs of publicly available data, enrich the CRM for Matt to call and say, hey, I see that you have a decommissioning need here in Atlanta. So setting up workflows, sequences, systems with signals, intent triggers, bringing in all that to make it super easy for their sales teams to close deals and focus on what they do best, relationships. That's the human in the loop.
Yeah, I think that was my next question I was going to say. Because you think about AI, there's some mistrust with AI. It's like the data point. Hey, everything in ChatGPT is publicly available. Like I know with my company, we have our own AI ChatGPT. So if I try to use it, because we have highly sensitive data, there's like triggers that come into play. Is that something you've come across with various companies when you bring in tools like this?
For certain, it's all about context engineering, prompt engineering. Now, if you're talking about company sensitive data, yeah, you can create your own LLM internally. But what we're doing is their outbound sales function. So for them, it's not no really it's not a big deal. I mean, even though some of the clients they can't really describe their ICP, so they'll give me all their invoices. I'll take their invoices and then I'll dial that into here's exactly who we want to reach out to. And let's say for a logistics company that hits manufacturing, retail, real estate, all different sectors, we'll go to outbound, hit little pockets, each pocket, see where the good data points are coming back at, and then launch a full scale attack in that area of the market. Getting a lot of wins quickly for these companies and bringing in just multiple tools. It's a lot cheaper than some of these tools like Zoom Info, right? Where it has Zoom Info sales intent. Well, that means somebody who's on your website. Well, what I can do is I could put a tracking pixel on your website, have my API key analyze their profile, see if they're an actual buyer or just somebody visiting the profile, and then immediately launch an outbound campaign to that person and enrich the CRM to alert your sales team to call Matt right now. He visited a website. If you look at the data points, from the first 5 minutes you call on somebody, they're looking at your website. That is high intent data.
Yeah, I think that's important. You think about someone like Zoom Info being the standard for so long, and major corporations rely on Zoom Info because that data is readily available. But I think what you're doing, there's so much technology that has changed where every day with AI, you don't know what's new to come. And I think, how long have you been on top of this for to build what you built?
2 years. Down a lot of
Okay.
rabbit holes, Matt. Down a lot of rabbit holes.
I know one thing about you is you like the idea of chasing new ideas, basically. You have many ideas that, to say the word idea again, but new ways to drive revenue, which is really complimentary of you. And I think what you built here is you've had a lot of success, right? You brought in quite a few clients. And what I always think, I've been there, done that. I know the rabbit holes already. I don't want you to go down those rabbit holes with AI and outreach and things like that. Let me just walk through how best you can do this. And it sounds like you've had quite a few high level clients already for the go to market that you've been.
Yeah. One of them right now is they are a logistics company. They operate in 34 markets. The other is private equity backed. Where we're talking to CTOs that don't even know what we're talking about, right? These are new tools that are coming out. Like we put multiple tools together. I mean, I can give you the whole tech stack, but knowing how to put the strategy behind it, to put it together to make sense for you as a company, that's where most people don't know how to plug and play. Like if you look at one of the studies that was out by MIT saying 95% of AI has failed at companies. Well, that's because they're not using it right. It's all about context and prompt engineering, putting in the right, like you can create an MCP server with your company's documents. I mean, I can basically create something on your screen for you as a sales team. Let's say you're doing a video call, basically a broadcast right in front of their face with every objection possibly ever had in that company's history that you've ever heard, every sales book, Challenger, Medic, you name it. We can put every sales book as you're inside of that, and that will be prompted right in front of you in real time. So think about what you can do with that.
Yeah, I just think about the world of sales, all the role plays you have. Now, if you can just use every one of those frameworks with AI just guiding you through that process, I wonder if you could even build like a real time. I know you can use ChatGPT to walk through the actual sales call. You could type it in the response. Obviously, you have to worry about some level of authenticity there, but it's limitless as far as what's possible with AI right now in sales operations.
You could use a tool like Cluely.com. It's invisible on the screen. And that's what I'm talking about broadcasting you. It is in real time. Like I could put it on my screen right now, but you won't be able to see it. You can fact check somebody. You can ask follow-up questions. Anything that's publicly available on the internet, you can pull in real time. But most importantly, you can put your company's documents in there to speak on brand. Any coaching calls that you've had with your team as a leader, It's all right in front of their face, ready to go for each call. Not to mention all the data that you need about that client or that company is right in front of your face.
So I know you mentioned, so like, what was it? 95% of companies don't really know how to utilize AI. Is that a safe assumption? They just think it's more.
No, 90, it was an MIT study that 95% of companies that have implemented AI have failed using it, right? Well, that's because they don't know how to use it right, right? I was talking to the head of Lucid Motors yesterday. I was golfing with him. I was telling you, they just spent a fortune to implement some of this AI stuff. And it's like talking about $40 million project, which I told him, I go, I can probably do that for you for under a couple thousand.
Yeah, and I think it's a matter of who you know and someone markets. We're the AI experts, work with us for this reason, versus just an
Yeah,
authentic person to speak to, talk about the value of networking. Hey, here's what I do. And I think you're really good at asking those questions. What exactly are you looking to accomplish? I can work with you to get that done. And I think you've had quite a few, as I keep referencing. Didn't you get somebody join you recently on this project?
I did. Brad Johnson recently left Ford Automotive. He was on our AI strategy consultant and M&A team. He has quit Ford and joined me on this project. So we're looking at data clusters, custom servers, databases. We can speak to that later, but we're building something incredible right now, specifically in the supply chain logistics, transportation, warehousing, distribution, SaaS, supply chain tech, it's space. But eventually we will bring that product out to other markets. Right now, we're keeping it internal because it's our unfair advantage. Speed to revenue is what I call it.
I mean, it's keep that in mind because your whole background is in the recruiting space and supply chain and logistics. So this is a big shift for you, correct? Once you started
Well,
doing this the past two
kind of,
years.
it is, but it also ties into what we're doing because we need, when we're setting up the go-to-market rev ops, do you have the right people in the right seats to close these deals? If I text them and said, how many salespeople do you have on your team? Well, we have 10. Okay, out of those 10, how many, if I'm talking to a CRO or sales leader, how many of those 10 are A players? Five, Dom. Are any of them, how many are B? Three. Are any of those Bs worth getting up to the A players? Dom, two of them aren't. Okay. Should we replace the C's and the B's? Yes. Okay. So we'll come in and plug in people that know how to use these tools, can close deals, that know how to build meaningful relationships and believe in the product and are excited to be there at that company, the product or solution or service, whatever they're offering.
One, I think that's the best part. You can find them through automation tools seamlessly as far as speed. Then you can bring in the human aspect. You can actually talk to them, get a feel for them, and leverage your experience in the industry and as like a talent sourcer as well. Because I think we talked about this in the world of insurance. Will AI fully replace insurance, or is there some level of interpersonal communication skills that will still be vital? I think we don't know yet.
I think anything that's done on a computer, I think we're a couple of years away from artificial super intelligence, right? Nobody knows what that really means and what that's going to do. But I know this, there are going to be a lot of jobs that are going to be, gone. Let's say they're going to be completely gone, but it's also going to create a lot of new jobs. And then it's also going to create a lot of, let's put it this way, a lot of people are going to realize they can leave those corporate companies and start a company quickly now with the tools that are available and get into something they're passionate about. So if everybody gets into something they're passionate about, everything's possible now. Like I could spin up a website for you in 2 minutes.
Yeah, that's actually something we'll talk about, trying to build the cashflowchronicles.com. So we'll talk further about that.
Done.
Awesome. So yeah, I think what has been the biggest learning point and then the biggest challenge you've had making this shift towards the AI platform the past 2 years?
I'm learning every day, right? I'm always just listening, taking feedback and watching videos. And I spend at least 2 to 3 hours a day learning different things in AI. Now that could be a challenge too, because you got new tools that are coming out daily. If you set up, we have to stay ahead of it, right? Stay ahead of how do we give our clients the unfair advantage, which I call speed to revenue, but also stay on top of the new tools that are coming out so we don't fall behind. But you also have a good workflow and this is working. Don't change it, but just keeping an eye out on the long-term strategy. What other new tools are coming out that we can be on top of quickly? One of my prompts inside of ChatGPT is, here's my current workflow. If I find a new AI or tool, I'll throw it in there and I'll say, hey, how can you optimize my current process or workflow right now? Will this tool be beneficial to me right now? Yes or no? Where can I plug it in?
It's so funny. I was just talking to a friend of mine. He's between jobs right now. He's down in Florida. He's debating, do I stay in my industry or do I shift towards banking? And I'm like, just put in chat GPT prompts. It'll give you questions to ask and things like that. I think it's critical. And what I think is important is everyone probably uses chat GPT at the moment, but it's how you actually utilize it from a prompt standpoint, the prompt engineering variable, because it's limitless what you can achieve. But someone that's been doing it for 2 years and has proven success and understanding that it's constantly evolving, I think that's a very critical tool. Because if you're a CFO or a CEO, you're running a business. Do you have time to learn every day regarding the AI tools that change constantly?
Well, they need to. They need to at least spend an hour a day. I'll tell you right now, because what one of the CFOs asked me to do a project for him, I can do his job now. And I'm not even a CFO.
Yeah.
You know, if I put the right prompt in there, you give me the company or data reports, I can spit it out immediately. And then now you need one person to look over it instead of a team of 10 finance people. You just need one that knows how to use the AI tools. So anybody that's, I would say, doesn't think AI can replace them, be very careful. Believe me, there's companies looking to replace listen to Sam Altman. Listen to what the Shopify CEO said. He said, if AI cannot do the job, then we'll find somebody for the role. And that's how these people are thinking, right?
Yeah, cost reduction. There's even a joke of having the government run by AI once we build this supercomputer because it removes any bias and any decisions. But that who knows what that's going to look like you said, with the supercomputing variable that could come into play.
There you have it. Listen to the podcast with Alexander Wang and Sean Ryan, Scale AI, youngest billionaire ever. He can basically forecast every model of war. If this happens, if this is anything in a war scenario, they have the forecast. They already sell it to the government right now as we speak. Scale AI.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. I think one thing I want to ask you though is, have you had any limitations as far as when you talk to a customer about AI? Like, yeah, we don't trust this because AI is still kind of that red herring. It's still new. It's established, but it's still new to bring it into our process. Have you had any of those challenges?
Yeah, so like I said, it's a lot of the CTOs I talk to, they don't even understand what we're doing, right? So I'll bring in some workflows and show them, and then they'll be like, "Wow, I didn't know you could do that." Because most people, if you look at what ChatGPT has, 770 million users right now. Most people only use it to help me write this email or help me fix my resume. In my case, as a recruiter, right? Tailor my resume to fit this job description. Most people don't know how to use it properly, right? Yeah, so they don't even know what's capable. So if I bring in some workflows and show them, hey, here is what's possible now, then they're like, wow, I didn't know I could do that.
Well, and when I read emails that come my way, I know AI built it. It's like, well, that's right away. It's very obvious. They didn't put
But,
effort to actually communicate to me.
but Matt, I got an email today. This guy, you could tell this guy knew what he was doing with AI. Super hyper personalized. Went back to me at Ohio State playing hockey. And you wouldn't have been able to tell that somebody wrote it with AI. You'd think that this guy knew me from Ohio State or was connected. The way that email came through, it was amazing. Did I save the email? And I reached out to the guy. I go, great job. I knew it was done by AI. After I read it, I'm like, there's no way somebody would take that much time to go through and reach out for this. But most people would not know that.
Well, I think that gives kudos to you as well, because let's use AI. It's unbelievable. And you have those prompts and then how it starts with an email. Hope you are well.
Yeah.
Those different introductions, like you need to train the platform to actually work, which is what I think you've utilized so well to really optimize the capabilities.
Yeah. Like one of my prompts is for my voice, right? My tone. They're to founder, empathetic, sharp, and to the point. Because every C-suite that I deal with, nobody's going to read a paragraph, 2 paragraphs. It needs to be short, to the point. What do you need? Can I read it in between meetings? Then respond to you on my phone. If you can't, probably too long.
I actually had a conversation with someone today actually about having attachments on emails. It's like, I understand the point, but in this day and age, when you're trying to speak to those level of individuals, no one has time to really read an attachment. It's like just what's hyper relevant to what I'm looking for.
Yeah, unless you're like, already have a relationship with them and you're sending an attachment, right? But in the beginning, most people are probably thinking it's spam or, especially today's world, you got to be very careful on what you open. I know a lot of the big companies, probably like Allianz, all the big companies, they have filters for that. But, AI fraud it's just getting started. Like it's going to get worse and worse. Let's put it that way.
I'm not sure if you saw the latest episode I did. It was on cyber insurance. And it's just, there's so many layers to that with cyber insurance, anything with an insurance policy. But Steve Carey was saying, well, we're dealing with 4 claims a week on cyber. It's
Wow.
just unbelievable. And they're getting smarter and smarter as far as what they do. I know he mentioned they have a lawyer for negotiation, and for negotiations, these cyber hackers know what they're doing. They're very sophisticated in that process. So I think, as you mentioned, it's really limitless as far as what's possible with
Yeah. These
what AI
scammers
can do.
are professionals. Let's put it that way.
I
Like,
mean,
if
think how
only they
much.
put that time and effort into focusing on the good in the world, they could do just as well.
And I think that's the unfortunate piece. It's, hey, we got a niche that we're really successful in. It's like with anything, it's all about personal interest, unfortunately, and no one wants to ruin a company. But if they're making money, that's unfortunately seems to be their motivation. So really appreciated the conversation. I know I tried to cut it at 30 minutes. Really insightful stuff from an AI standpoint and really helping people understand what's possible with AI. It's not just a simple, hey, AI, write this email for me. You need to have a really true go to market plan and have someone who understands how to utilize the tools really, really well. I guess the last question I have for you is, how can we help, or what can you leave behind as far as tips and tricks for everybody listening?
I do host a roundtable for recruiters every Thursday at 12 p.m. Eastern. It's for recruiters, but honestly, most of these tools can help anybody in any role, right? So you can come on that call, just reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'll send you the link. But more importantly, how can I help any of you get started in your AI journey and give you some resources to, hey, here's where to get started at least. And I will say this, like, at least put an hour a day in learning AI, at least an hour.
I think I can echo that statement, Dom, because I know you don't look at things from a competitive standpoint. You're always willing to help anybody that's going to bring value to the conversation. You definitely are, the cliche term, a go-giver. How can I help? That speaks volumes of who you are as a person. I can't emphasize that further as far as the equity you bring to any relationship and how much you care. So I appreciated the time you spent today and look forward to seeing continued success for you.
Thank you. Same to you, Matt. Appreciate
Thank you,
you.
Dom.
Great friend.